For 500 years, one name has been synonymous with evil: Machiavelli. The word itself conjures images of schemers, liars, and backstabbers. We use it to describe psychopaths in boardrooms and tyrants on thrones. The Catholic Church placed his book on the Index Librorum Prohibitorum, the list of banned books. Shakespeare called him the murderous Machiavel. But we have misunderstood him, and we have misunderstood him at our own peril.
Niccolò Machiavelli was not a teacher of evil. He was the world's first teacher of reality. Before him, philosophers wrote about how the world ought to be. They wrote about utopias and philosopher kings. Machiavelli was the first man to look at the world as it is. He realized a terrifying truth. Sometimes, to save the kingdom, the king must become a monster. Sometimes, to be good in the moral sense is to be negligent in the practical sense. If a leader refuses to use violence to stop a criminal because he wants to be nice, he is responsible for the suffering of the innocent. His virtue is actually weakness. His mercy is actually cruelty to the victim. In this video, we will decode the philosophy of the prince. We will explore the concepts of virtù and fortuna. We will analyze the duality of the lion and the fox, and we will show you how to separate your private morality from your public effectiveness. Welcome to Umbra Decode. It is time to learn how not to be good. To understand the mindset, you must understand the environment. Machiavelli lived in Florence during a time of absolute chaos. Italy was not a country, it was a battlefield. Armies rose and fell in weeks. Armies looted the city. Friends betrayed friends for gold. He observed that the good rulers, the honest, the pious, the merciful, were chewed up and spit out. They died, and their people suffered under foreign occupation. The rulers who survived and who provided stability were the realists. Machiavelli wrote his masterpiece as a wake-up call to the Medici family. He wrote, "A man who wishes to make a profession of goodness in everything must necessarily come to grief among so many who are not good." This is the core of the Machiavellian mindset. There is private morality: be kind to your neighbor, don't lie, don't steal. This works in the nursery. There is public morality: protect the state, maintain order, survive. This works in the jungle. If you apply private morality to public war, you will be destroyed. You will assume people are honest. You will assume contracts are binding. You will assume mercy breeds gratitude. The Machiavellian assumes people are fickle, greedy, and self-interested. For of men one can, in general, say this: they are ungrateful, fickle, deceptive and deceiving, avoiders of danger, eager for gain. This is not cynicism, it is safety. By expecting the worst, you are never surprised, and you are always prepared. This leads us to the most controversial concept: cruelty. Machiavelli does not say, "be cruel." He hates sadism. He distinguishes between cruelty well used and cruelty badly used. He uses the example of Cesare Borgia. Borgia conquered the region of Romagna, which was lawless and full of bandits. To restore order, he appointed a cruel governor named Ramiro de Orco. Ramiro tortured the bandits, executed the criminals, and terrified the population into submission. Order was restored. But Borgia knew the people hated Ramiro. So, one morning, the people woke up to find Ramiro cut in 2 pieces in the town square, with a bloody knife beside him. Borgia had executed his own executioner. The people were at once satisfied and stupefied. They loved Borgia for saving them from the cruel governor whom Borgia had hired. This is cruelty well used.
It is a sudden, decisive shock of violence that solves the problem immediately. Because it is over quickly, the resentment fades and stability returns. Cruelty badly used is when a weak leader drags out the pain. He fires people one by one. He gives small punishments every day. This breeds eternal hatred. If you must injure a man, do it so severely that his vengeance need not be feared. Do all the ugly things at once. Hand out all the rewards slowly. But why do we need to be this way? Because of fortuna, fortune. Machiavelli viewed fortune not as random chance, but as a violent river. She is unpredictable. She floods. She destroys. Most men are passive. They pray to fortune. The Machiavellian opposes fortune with virtù. Virtù does not mean virtue in the Christian sense, goodness. It comes from the Latin vir, man. It means prowess, energy, and skill. Machiavelli writes, "Fortune is the arbiter of one half of our actions, but she leaves us to direct the other half." You cannot stop the river from rising, but in times of quiet, you can build dams and dikes. The Machiavellian mindset is the refusal to be a victim of circumstances. It is the aggressive preparation for disaster. While the good man hopes for the best, the man of virtù prepares for the worst. Machiavelli uses an animal metaphor to describe the perfect leader. You must not be just a man, you must be a beast. Specifically, you must be both the lion and the fox. The lion represents force. It terrifies the wolves. It uses raw power, legal threats, and authority. But the lion is stupid. It falls into traps. The fox represents cunning. The fox spots the snares. The fox uses deception, diplomacy, and strategy. But the fox is weak. It cannot fight the wolves alone. Most people are one or the other. The tough guy CEO is a lion. He bullies everyone but gets outsmarted by a clever competitor or a lawsuit. The scheming middle manager is a fox. He is clever but lacks the authority to command respect. You must alternate. When the enemy is strong, be the fox. Negotiation, misdirection. When the trap is cleared, be the lion. Total force. You must be a centaur, half man, half beast, capable of reason, but capable of violence. Here is the darkest truth of the book. Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are. Machiavelli argues that a leader must appear to be religious, honest, humane, and faithful, but he must be ready to be the opposite if the situation demands it. Why? Because the mob judges by eyes, not by hands. The mob judges by results. If you lose the kingdom because you refuse to lie, history will not call you honest. It will call you a failure. If you save the kingdom by lying, history will call you great. This is strategic hypocrisy. It is the understanding that your reputation is a tool, not a reflection of your soul. Polish the mask, but never forget what lies beneath it. Machiavelli asks the eternal question, is it better to be loved or feared? His answer is mathematical. Ideally, one should be both, but since that is rare, it is much safer to be feared than loved. Why? Because love is held together by a chain of obligation. And because men are selfish, that chain is broken whenever it serves their interest. If they love you, they will still betray you if the bribe is big enough. But fear is held together by the dread of punishment, and that never fails.
Crucial distinction. Fear is not hatred. Machiavelli warns, the prince must make himself feared in such a way that if he does not gain love, he at least avoids hatred. Hatred comes from stealing their property or their women. If you are fair, competent, and ruthless only when necessary, you are feared and respected. If you are arbitrary, cruel, and greedy, you are hated. Hatred leads to assassination. Fear leads to order.
This philosophy is not for everyone. It is heavy, it is cold, it is lonely. To be a Machiavellian is to accept that you cannot be an innocent child. You must carry the burden of the is. You must make the hard choices so that others can sleep safely in their beds, believing in the ought.
The world is not a nursery. It is a kingdom. Do you want to be a victim of your own virtue or a master of your own fate? Subscribe to Decode. Rule yourself.